A scattered dream that's like a far-off memory. A far-off memory that's like a scattered dream. I want to line the pieces up. Yours and mine. The reason this quote is so profoundly deep is, hello everyone, welcome to Sunburned. Albino does Kingdom Hearts 2 with jokes. After the best CGI intro in video game history, we find two guys on a beach who are not dressed for the beach, speaking about things we're not supposed to understand yet. One asks the other, who are you? Except he doesn't have a voice because they don't want us to immediately know who it is. And the other responds, I'm what's left. Or maybe I'm all there ever was. Me when it's last call in an empty bar. The first one's like, I meant your name, and the other one's like, my name is of no importance, which is something said by extremely important people almost exclusively. He says, what about you? Do you remember your true name? And the first one says mutedly, my true name is... before trailing off because the screen faded to black and the director yelled cut. We're then treated to a slew of historical clips from the first Kingdom Hearts, which serve to remind you of the story so far, while also taking place in the dream of a new kid on the block, Roxas, who spends his summer nights sleeping with no blankets on and dreaming about men. Here in Twilight Town, we're part of a friend group consisting of Hayner, Pence, Olette, and us, Roxas, and there's big trouble brewing because a thief has been stealing stuff around town, and our little gang is getting blamed. Then all of a sudden Pence shouts, they're gone! Are gone! He clutches his throat because that shit sounded a bit incomplete there, my man. Hayner repeats, all are gone? Before choking himself as well, with both hands for good measure. They surmise that the thief has stolen not only but the word too, which is yet undefined, but Pence was looking at his camera when he freaked out, so you can imagine the word was photos or pictures or nudes. I feel like if the thief stole a single word, you could just use a synonym instead of leaning into it like that, but whatever. They resolve to find the thief themselves, and they all run out of the hideout at the same time, except Roxas, who is afflicted with PDS, or Protagonist Dawdling Syndrome, in which the main character has no choice but to lag behind everyone else because they're about to be controlled by the player. In this case, the flare-up is severe enough that it makes him fall over and knock himself out, while a disembodied voice says, his heart is returning. Doubtless he'll awaken very soon. Olette comes back after he gets back up like, Roxas, come on! But that won't help. If you want him to go places with you instead of behind you, you'll have to push him around in a wheelchair, and even then you'll have to wait for the loading screens. The group goes and visits with some of the shop owners who all think they're the thieves, as they try to clear their names. One old lady asks Roxas if he's seen her cat, which the camera then pans up and shows is directly on the awning above her. What ensues, for some reason, is a whole unique world instance in which your friends walk around and act like they can't see that shit right there, even after it literally meowed when we looked up. I've played this game like 20 times, and I've never noticed that they have new dialogue, because it's so easy to just lock onto the cat immediately from where you're standing, but this time I went around and talked to the gang to get an enlightened perspective on how stupid they are. Pence at least has something meta to say. The rest of them think this is a real search. I find the cat by being the only human with eyeballs, and we head over to the Sandlot, where a rival gang headed by a dude named Cypher lives. They also accuse us of stealing and we get challenged to a fight. 3 club weapons are laying at our feet for no reason, and we get to pick one based on whether we want a bonus point in strength, defense, or magic. I choose strength, even though magic is broken in this game. We don't get any spells yet, and it's a simple playthrough for this series. After cleaning his clock with our giant dildo, Pence takes a picture, of Cypher's gang, making excuses for him, but a weird creature in a silver jumpsuit snatches it up and slithers away. All of us chase it, until Roxas is inexplicably the only one chasing it, and it goes through the woods and up to the locked gate of a mysterious mansion. The jumpsuit creature talks without talking, saying... and Roxas attempts to fight it with his struggle club, but the attacks aren't doing anything. Suddenly, the club is simply deleted in a flash of de-digitization, and a new weapon takes its place, the Keyblade. But how can Roxas wield the Keyblade? Whoa. Roxas doesn't know what it is, but he still uses it to defeat the creature, who explodes into HP, money, and photos. Holy shit, I can say photos now. Also, my laundry's done. All the stolen photos are recovered, and back at the hideout, Pence notices that Roxas is in every single one of them. Curious. The screen eventually turns to static, and a computerized voice says, Restoration at 12%. We now look upon two hooded figures hovering over about 1,000 computer screens who lament that the organization's miscreants from the Chain of Memories and 358 divided by 2 days games have found them, both of which take place before Kingdom Hearts 2, and both of which are on two different handheld systems for your utter convenience. The nobodies are apparently attempting to take Roxas back with them, and can't differentiate between pictures and the real mainly deal because they're instinct-driven dumbasses. The Red Mummy Man mentions Naminé, the witch from Chain of Memories who was tasked with repairing Sora's fractured memories, saying she must make haste, implying that A, the reparation is taking place, and B, that he wants it to occur. Does that make him a good guy? Roxas awakens on the second day, having had some more dream flashbacks about Sora doing KH-1 shenanigans. While musing about the Keyblade he wielded the day before, he picks up a twig and swings it a couple times, before turning and throwing it weirdly horizontally behind him so that it hits a guy in his black hooded chest. Like you would think if you were going to carelessly toss something behind you, it would be more up in the sky. But Roxas holds on a little too long like he missed a QuickTime event, and it goes sailing flatly backwards directly at a man's nipples. He tries to apologize, but the hooded figure just walks away like it's happened one too many times today. At the usual spot, the group decides to go to the beach, and that to save up enough money with a U, they should all do odd jobs around town, meaning Roxas is the only one doing odd jobs around town. I sure don't ever see Pence sweeping junk around, and I bet Olette hasn't been around any giant sacks yet, at least I hope not this early in her life. They agree to pool up enough money to afford train tickets and pretzels, which means we need to earn 800 more by doing a bunch of bullshit. Mail delivery is the easiest one to spam, since it takes about 10 seconds to get 50 money, with everyone in their pigeon lined up with open mouths ready to get a letter stuffed down their gullet. Cargo climb is also fast if you do air combos, and the sack wasn't marked fragile, so if my method of transporting it breaks all the contents, maybe you shouldn't have hired a 15-year-old with a blunt weapon in his hand. Next up is Grandstander, where keeping a ball in the air with attacks is apparently a riveting spectator sport. You can get a combo of 0 and the girl will still give you 10 money, but she said she could do better than that, and I took that personally. Now, I will try. I didn't know how long I was planning to go for. Each milestone went by and I found myself not stopping until after way too long, I was eventually over 1,000 hits. Beat that, you little toddler bitch. Also, only 50 money? I deserve a whole complimentary beach trip for that. Skipping all the other jobs in the interest of time, we meet up with Hayner at the station, and then no matter how much money you've personally accumulated, the group total amounts to 5,000, kept in a nice safe pouch that is virtually unthieveable, unless a hooded figure you previously threw a twig at comes back for revenge, that is. While the others are off towards the station, Roxas is knocked to the ground by an object that weighs less than a pound, and the cloak who threw it mugs him on the spot before disappearing. Roxas doesn't know he's been bullied for his lunch money yet, though, so the others go up to the toll and ask for tickets. They subtly gesture Roxas to hand over the money by shouting, "Roxas, the money!" But Roxas checks his pockets and the pouch has vanished. He immediately connects the dots and tells them that the hooded hoodlum must have taken it. Except, no one else in the group saw that man. They just saw Roxas fall by himself and then get up and shake himself off. There was no hood involved in their eyes. Had Roxas imagined it? Did he steal his own money? What motive could there be for such a self-inflicted crime? The questions keep piling up. The group just walks by him without saying anything, and the screen fades. Cut to the group sitting on top of the clock tower eating ice cream, where Roxas apologizes, but Hayner just says, "Cheer up already." And what I wouldn't give to be that unfazed by tremendous disappointment. A whole beach trip ruined because some schizo blamed an invisible man for losing a pocket full of cash. If it were me, I'd have kicked him out of the group, and I certainly wouldn't have bought him ice cream. He lost everyone else's money too, you know. I'd be like, "Bitch, you better get to grandstanding and junk sweeping because you've racked up a $5,000 money tab." I'd go Stewie Griffin on his ass like, "Where's my money, man? Where's my money?" Timely reference, I know. Roxas reveals the hooded figure said to him in the moment, "Can you feel Sora?" I would have looked behind me at that point and made sure my pants were still up. The screen goes static again, and that computerized voice says, "Restoration at 28%. Back in the computer room, the hooded dude is holding Roxas's money pouch and asks the Red Mummy Man if it's really that hard to make a beach, showing a bit of sympathy. Mummy Man says that would be giving the enemy another entry point, and at this point it's pretty clear that the town is a digitized construct, not part of the real world, and that the crimson turban in front of the computer controls it. He says objects from that town must be kept out of the real world and tells the hooded man to delete the money. I mean, as long as it fools a cashier, I'm okay to keep it. I don't know if giant yellow balls have have an authentication process or a specific mint. If you give a big one to a McDonald's employee, do they raise it over their head and squint at it? After more dreams and a shot of a blonde girl in a white dress standing in front of some kind of alien pod, Roxas awakens on the third day. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Check out my Kingdom Hearts 1 series with jokes. I'm also doing with jokes on some other games as well. So check it out, and I'll see you guys next time.